Good morning, OBAR. This is Donna Creef, your Government Affairs Director with the October edition of Let's Get Real. And today I have with us Barton Grover, who was the Grants Administrator for Dare County, and also Noah Gillam, who is the Dare County Planning Director. And today we're going to be talking about the situation in Buxton and Rodanthe with the oceanfront houses. Very timely topic. When we scheduled this 2 or 3 weeks ago, we didn't know that things were going to be quite as hectic as it has been with the number of houses falling. Since we scheduled this, we've had 9 houses falling, Noah?
8 in Buxton and 1 in Rodanthe.
Yeah. So as we're sitting here recording this morning, we're on the back end of this coastal low that we've had, the latest coastal low. No houses have fallen in the past couple of days, correct?
No, ma'am.
Still very precarious situation though down there in Buxton, Rodanthe. How many houses are in Buxton are there?
There's probably between 7 and 10 structures that even on low tide are standing in the ocean.
So they haven't had their occupancy certification for some time now.
Since Hurricane Aaron.
Since Aaron. So those are on the first row, if you will, of the ocean front. Are we anticipating, or are we seeing the impacts to the second row of the houses now?
Building inspectors and environmental health are going to be out today and tomorrow assessing the damage from this weekend's events. It's likely that some of the second and possibly even third row structures will lose occupancy based off of damage to their septic as well.
To their septic, okay, that was my next question. What about the hotels right there?
Several of those structures had damage to their septic. As far as structural issues, we haven't observed any real structural issues to them yet.
But they still have their occupancy certification?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As of right now, as of 10 o'clock this morning, yes. Yeah. So, what about in Rodanthe? Are there any houses there that don't have their occupancy certification? There's not any that are out in the water like in Buxton right now, right?
There's one house on GA Kohler, but they've been decertified for now probably going on 12 months. Outside of that, I don't have any new structures that have been reported.
So 12 months, are they doing anything to try to relocate their structure, or what's their plan? I mean, the property owner's plan there, do they have one?
They discussed with Barton the possibility of pursuing the buyout program.
Okay.
Their structure in its current state would be probably hard to relocate. I know they've looked at it, but they have no current active plan.
How old is the house? Do you know right off the top of your head? Because a lot of these houses are older structures that were built.
I don't know the date of that house, but the houses in that section of Rodanthe, they were pretty much all built in the late 70s to the early 90s.
Right, the late 70s, which is right when CAMA came in, and when you see all the news coverage, you always in the comments, well, my goodness, why did they let those houses be built like that? And I think that's what gets lost in this whole conversation, is that those houses were built a long time ago. There was a lot of beach out front, and they were built consistent with the rules that were in place at the time. And so I think that's a large part of the conversation that gets lost.
Yeah, I did, went back and looked at the ones that have collapsed since 2020, 21 homes. The average date of construction was 1982.
Okay, yeah, and so that was a long time ago. I wonder, do you recall what the erosion rate was back in Rodanthe then, when they were in 1982? Did they even have erosion rates back then, or were
that
they
started, I believe, in 79, but I don't know if I have that data. But,
okay.
Currently, that erosion rate in that area is between 11 to 13 for the year.
Yeah, and Buxton has the static line because of the beach nursing, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's different. So let's talk about the grants. Noah hinted at that a little bit. We had a meeting back in the earlier part of this month there in Wanchese for the property owners. A lot of people participated online. We had a good crowd there that night. How many people have actually applied for consideration for FEMA buyouts?
We have about 20 right now. Since that meeting and since the recent events in Buxton, we have been starting to receive some interest from the Buxton homeowners now. Originally it was primarily just the Rodanthe homeowners seeking the grant. We're still accepting applications until about October 15th. If any homeowners, again, it's a completely voluntary program. And I do talk to some homeowners who may be second or third row, and say, you might not be seeing the issues right now, but it's something you can have in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Because what they're seeing right now is an immediate issue. FEMA is a very slow process.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, particularly now, because
Yes.
there's government shutdown, yeah.
correct. And so the FEMA process can be 2 years, 3 years, or even more. And so while you might not be seeing the issues at your property right now, there is no harm in submitting an application. And then in 3 years, if you're still interested in an acquisition, you can keep on with the process. If you're not, you just call me and tell me, take me off the list.
So these are the FEMA mitigation grants where, as the property owner, you apply for a grant to have your property purchased,
Correct.
to be acquired, and then is there a 25% cost to the property owner, or is it a total 100%?
It is 100% covered by the federal and state government. The state is taking the 25% match for what's open right now is related to Tropical Storm Helene,
Okay.
and also
Oh,
post-tropical
so this is money
cyclone
going
8.
back to Helene then?
Correct.
Okay.
And so while Western North Carolina will be prioritized, they feel like they're going to get a significant amount of funding where there's going to be leftover, where the eastern part of the state will have access to funds. There's also some more limited funding available as a result of post-tropical cyclone 8. That didn't affect us as much, but we did have a significant amount of erosion in Buxton as a result of that storm. Down south, that was a lot of flooding down near the Wilmington area, and so that's why it was declared an emergency.
So that's one set of grants, but there's still another set of grants that are pending for elevation. You still have an elevation
Correct,
grant
yeah,
going on
and
too, right?
yeah, the elevation is also open. We have probably about 50 applications throughout the county. Unincorporated Dare County, which I represent, actually handles any of the towns for elevation. So if you're in Kitty Hawk or Killable Hills, you actually do still apply through me for elevations. Whereas with acquisitions, the property is actually going to the county or the town. So those are actually handled by the individual municipalities for acquisitions. But if you're any sort of homeowner, whether you're in Hatteras or Kitty Hawk, you still would reach out to me about elevations. That's another October 15th deadline to reach out to me on that.
Which is just this week.
Soon, yes.
So acquisitions, elevations, but we're not doing any grants for relocations.
Correct. And again, just to touch base back on elevations, those are also 100% covered by FEMA and the state. Relocations, we did talk with the state of North Carolina Emergency Management, and they essentially said relocations are not feasible based on the amount of funds that can be provided per house. Right now, that's around $360,000. I think Noah might know more information about how much a relocation costs, but essentially what the state told us is they are not pursuing any relocations unless it's a government building. They did say if the property owner does already own another property that's outside of the flood zone.
Outside of the flood zone, that's what I was gonna say, yeah.
Yes, that's a big issue is FEMA will not fund moving a structure to another property that's within the flood zone. So if the property owner happens to have another property that's outside the flood zone, we can consider that on a case-by-case basis, but essentially it's a no from the state on relocation being a possibility with this grant.
And that's really complicated because you got to move out of the flood zone, and we've got so much flood zone here that's almost
It's hard to do, especially in the Verdanthe area.
Yeah.
Buxton, maybe there's a little bit more opportunity to move, but it's really hard.
Really
And
hard.
you have to have a homeowner who already has another property.
And that's
Rare.
Very rare. So the FEMA grants, they flow through the state to the county, so the government shutdown is not affecting the application process at this time, correct?
Because right now, this October 15th deadline, Dare County has to submit all our applications. There's a lot of back-end paperwork, maps that we have to provide with the application to the state, and then the state begins working on their side. So it's not even to FEMA yet, and so the shutdown isn't affecting us as of yet. So we could still kind of process these applications and get them to the federal government soon.
So all the property owners down in Buxton, I know they're calling you.
Yes.
You're working with them. You're in constant contact with them.
Correct.
For those for our members out there that are realtors that may have people that call them and want to buy property there in Buxton or in Rodanthe on the ocean front, what advice should they be telling their clients, to be proactive or just to be aware? I know that in talking to some of the realtors who are on my government affairs committee, they're very frank with their clients and just say, this is a hazardous area here. But what do you tell those people when they call you and say, my house is on the second row here, Noah, what's your advice? Should I? Because as Barton said, there's not a lot of land to relocate the house to, and when you relocate that house, what's the average cost to relocate a structure?
Depending on the size of the structure, I would say it's typically going to range from $100,000 to $400,000 to $500,000.
That's moving it from one lot to the other.
In the Merlot Beach area, over the last 2 years, some of those houses, they just moved landward on their lot, and some of those relocations were upwards of $250,000 to $400,000.
Those houses that have been moved landward, are they still endangered now after they've been moved landward because of the continued erosion, or has that bought them some?
It's definitely bought them some time, as we've seen in the last storm events. Rodanthe hasn't lost the amount of beach that we've seen in Buxton over the last month.
Okay.
The erosion up there doesn't seem to be as rapid as what we were seeing, 2 to 3 years ago in Rodanthe. A couple of those homeowners were able to move their house, anywhere from 50 to 100 feet landward.
Some of them had deeper lots, whereas
Deeper
that
lots.
area right there in Buxton, that old subdivision right there by Old Lighthouse Road, and what are the streets there? Ormar,
Cottage and
Cottage
North
Avenue.
Tower, South
Those
Tower.
are smaller lots to start with because they were platted. What I think back in the '60s, were they
Most
not?
of those lots range from 5 to 7,000
Yeah,
square feet.
yeah, very small. So there's not moving it on the lot is not an option, and so again, it's a real challenge. What are you guys hearing about CAMA? We keep hearing the Buxton Civic Association talk about the repair permits for the jetty there. Is that going to become a reality?
It's my understanding that they're working actively now to obtain the CAMA permit and get all of the other state and federal agency approval to rebuild at this time at least one of the jetties, and then once that project was complete, they might be able to assess rebuilding possibly a second structure.
Oh, really?
That's a possibility, depending on.
And the CAMA laws are going to require that under the CAMA laws will allow that under a repair permit if that's what they get?
A repair permit, because they're able to determine that the largest jetty structure was not damaged beyond 50% of its original size, and so they're able to get a repair permit to repair that one.
What other federal permits are needed beyond CAMA for that?
National Park Service approval.
Okay,
I believe there would be some input from the Army Corps,
okay.
because it would be, technically a major permit process on that. It's then, in that process, there's, I believe it's 20 or more agencies that review it for compliance with their rules and regulations.
Yeah, and so even if we were to get the repair permit today, it's still 2 or 3 years before anything could probably happen. Even, what's the best case scenario there? 6 months before construction, maybe? If you could get all the
Best case scenario is probably doing it concurrently with the beach nourishment next.
Is
spring
that
and
what they're
summer.
talking about?
Yes.
That's the goal. Yes.
So that's pretty encouraging then, if we can just get some cooperation from Mother Nature then, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still though just another getting through this winter and spring until that process can start, because like you mentioned, there's a lot of agencies who need to review this. Obviously the repairing the jetty kind of adds another component, but there's biological assessments, there's environmental assessments, so a long, about a year process sometimes just to get the paperwork to the agencies, and then the agencies have usually at least 6 months to review before they need to issue a permit. So, but hoping to get everything done next summer, assuming permits are received and bids are received, qualified bids are received.
Those biological assessments for the nourishment are the same ones that would have to be done for the jetty
Yeah,
repair?
it's
Okay.
similar. They did have to do some additional work to account for the jetty, yes.
Oh, well, then that's encouraging
But we've
then.
done a couple Buxton beach nourishments, we've done the environmental assessments before, so it's not a brand new project, kind of recreating the wheel here. We already have a lot of that information already from the prior project, so that did shorten the process, which allowed us to move the nourishment up to 2026, because originally it was scheduled for 2027. So,
Yeah,
but it is still a lengthy process to go through with all that paperwork and get the permits.
can the same company that does the nourishment, are they equipped to do the jetty work?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Well, that's pretty encouraging then. Those folks down there, I know it's been stressful.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I know the building inspectors have been real stressful down there. You know, it's on the news. Every time you turn on, it seems like Wavy's encamped down there. Wavy TV10, you know, I saw you on the news the other day. It's just that's the thing that's so troubling about this beyond the obvious impacts to Buxton is that all these people see the news coverage and they think all 75 miles of our beaches are falling in, that we have all these houses from Kitty Hawk to Hatters that are falling in, and so I don't know how we combat that. I guess that's a problem for the Visitors Bureau, right? You guys are just trying to get the folks there to get their houses back up. Well, this has been helpful. This is very timely information for our members. I appreciate you guys coming in. It's always good to talk to you guys and see you again. This is just like old home week, isn't it?
Yep.
Just like we used to have our staff meetings at the department there. Okay, well, that's it for this month, guys. As we say, if real estate is your profession, politics is your business. So take care and we'll see you next month.